Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of the Dissenter. I'm your host, as always, Ricardo Lopes, and today I'm joined by Marcela Alonso. She's an OnlyFans content creator, and she's also the host of the Get Schooled podcast. And we're going to talk about the work she does and also her podcast and also other related topics. So, Marcela, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to everyone.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start perhaps talking a little bit about yourself. So what kind of content do you create and how did you get into it?
Well, I've actually been a sex worker all of my adult life. So I didn't exactly start doing content creation I did like phone sex right before that. And I did do, it was Snapchat. I did do the OnlyFans before the pandemic, but then during the pandemic, I heavily focused on it. But I originally started exotic dancing when I first was 18, and done other stuff. Yeah. So it wasn't, I've been a sex worker my entire adult life.
Okay, but what got you then into sex work? And then perhaps you can tell us about the different kinds of sex work you've done.
I had a child at a young age, and so I had to support her. The father abandoned me, and it was very, the father he refused to help me whatsoever. And
I'm sorry.
He didn't take responsibility. So the responsibility was put on me. I did work. In the U.S., I lived in the state of Florida, and Florida does not help you. Every state in the United States is different when it comes to welfare. And Florida is a very Christian conservative state where they want you to have the baby. They don't really so I had my child, but they don't really help you financially with like the welfare so much. So it's pretty much on the woman's own. So I had to do something. And where I lived in Tampa, Florida, they had exotic dancing. And I knew that because I did have a regular job, right after 16, I was going to school and I was working a waitressing job, but it wasn't enough money. So I turned to exotic dancing because I could make cash and that could support me and my child. So that's how I turned to, sex work.
And then how did you get then, tell us more about how you got into OnlyFans and the kind of content you create there.
Okay, so during the pandemic, everybody, they had to do something because it just, that was just the way, but before it transitioned, because I had always done some form of sex work, whether it was domination, whether it was dancing or whatever. And at that point, the pandemic happened and I had to do something to pay the rent. At the time I was living in New York. The rent was very, very expensive. And I think my rent was like $3,500 and I was living right in Manhattan. And I was already doing it. And then my daughter was in college at the time. And so I had to jump and work even harder and got on OnlyFans, and it took advantage at the time when everybody was out. So, and because I already had the experience of dealing with sex work, that's when I got on it. And I gave more of a personal experience by doing more video calls than anything else, where it was one-on-one. And I sold mostly video calls or custom videos to individual men. Yeah, so that was my favorite thing to do. Then I started doing more collabs with other creators.
Okay, so let me ask you, because this is something that many times when, for example, people are debating with sex workers, I know that different sex workers have different kinds of experiences in sex work and doing different kinds of sex work, of course, but it's very easily the case that people accuse sex workers of not really liking what they do, that they only do it because of the money, because of this and that. But I mean, in your specific case, is it just because of financial necessity? Is just because of the money, or do you also like what you do?
You know what, I did I did do it because that's what it brought me there. It honestly did bring me there because of the financial circumstance, but I did enjoy it. There's many years of when I dance. I honestly can say I enjoyed it, but there's different aspects where I don't enjoy it. What I didn't enjoy about dancing was the way the management treated me, but I enjoyed it. I really, really enjoy talking to different customers, clients, fans. I enjoy that interaction with my fans. When I was in the clubs, I did enjoy the management, the way they treated us. The thing with OnlyFans is, again, I enjoy doing the video calls. I enjoy the interaction with the fans. What I don't enjoy is how it got so sensationalized, and it got to be too, everybody's doing it. And now, you got too many people jumping in and not, taking it and changing it up. And then when too many hands are in there doing things that are hurting other sex workers. So, that's where it gets kind of complicated.
But by it getting more sensationalized, what do you mean by that exactly?
You get people that never were in sex work, and all of a sudden, people are becoming managers, AKA pimps, and they're running management companies, and they're doing different practices and just taking advantage of sex workers and trying to profit off sex workers. So that's the part that I don't like. And again, it goes back to when I work like in the strip clubs, and you have managers where all of a sudden they start fining girls, or they start trying to somehow like pimp them, manage them and take advantage of that. That's the part that I don't enjoy, or anybody where they're trying to take advantage of the sex workers. And that's what happens. But overall, like, I did love the freedom that I had when I did dance, because I was able to raise my daughter. I was able to provide for her. She went to college, she finished. That was the part that was good. I have 2 children, and I was able to provide. I went to college myself. I don't have any debt. I don't have any loans. A lot of people in America have loans and debts. And I was able to take very good care of my children. I did it when my second child, I didn't get any child support. So I raised her without having any child support whatsoever. So that was the good thing. But sex work is not for everyone. And I think in the mainstream media, you see these articles where, this person made this amount of money, but they're not telling you the full truth and the full scope. And I think that could be bad for society, because it's really for the strong. You have to go in not having addictions also. And that's a whole different ballgame.
What kind of addictions? Addictions to alcohol, drugs, or are you talking about other kinds of addictions?
I think, honestly, like you have, the more sober I am, the better I was, like when I dance. And same thing, I feel like, I just feel like, your mind has to be really straight, and you have to be comfortable doing sex work. That is how I feel personally. And I always was sober because I was raising a child, and it didn't bother me mentally. It did not, nothing bothered me. And I feel like that's what's important. Some people that I did dance with earlier, it mentally bothered them. And I feel like if something is going to bother you, and you're going to do it, whether you're going to be doing OnlyFans, whether you're going to be dancing, whether you're going to be doing in-person work, you shouldn't go into it. You shouldn't go into it. I know I could never be a nurse or a doctor. And I know I can't go there. Mentally, I could not handle that. So it's not for the weak.
And so what kinds of traits do you think that women particularly should have to be successful doing sex work, and for them to like doing it?
I have a girlfriend, and to me, she's the best porn star ever. Her name's Ava Devine. And she is, you know who she is? Like he's
yeah.
So she is absolutely.
I mean, I also follow your podcast, so I know that.
Oh, okay. I always talk about my best friend, because to me, in my eyes, she's the best porn star in the world. And she is absolutely the most sexual woman alive. And if I was going to give the award for the best porn star, it would be her. And she is the ideal woman that should be a porn star. And she's a very beautiful woman to know. And you have to be naturally sexy and want the sex and enjoy the sex. And that is the model of a true porn star. So to me, if anybody knows her personally, she is the model star of the porn star. And that's how you have to be, and it's too many people. It's for her, it's definitely not about the money, that is the true model of it. Me, I know that I am not as comfortable as she is. So therefore, you can't get your ass out of the kitchen if you can't take the heat. So that's why I never worked for a production company. But somebody like her, you know what I'm saying, that deserves the avian of the century. That's what Ava Devine deserves. But she, that's the type of person that should go into, because they enjoy sex so much.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking when preparing our conversation, and also because of other talks I have on the show, not with sex workers necessarily, but people who have done work on pornography, psychologists, and so on, people like that. And I was thinking about perhaps some traits that would be
everybody's different. Yeah. Well, for porn star, I always say give her. For dominatrix, it's different. You have to be like a dominant woman. Every form of sex work is so different. I always identify as an ex stripper. So I loved being a stripper. And I wish I could have been a stripper forever. So I identify as an ex stripper for life. Give me that award.
But I mean, I was thinking, since you mentioned, of course, the sex part, which is part of the job, right? I mean, I guess
not for all sex work.
That's
a very big misconception.
That's totally right. But let me just say that at least for people who do pornography, for example, or escorts and people like that, I mean, I guess that it's easier if they score high on sociosexuality, because it's easier for people who score high on that trait to have sex that it doesn't involve necessarily any attachment or emotion or something like that.
Right. And that's something you have to be I have that though, where I can have sex and not be attached. I do have that. But the thing is, with the pornography, I just feel like it's a special. The porn is just so it's like the Meryl Streep of, you have to be such a good performer. You know what I'm saying? You have Meryl Streep, who's a wonderful actress. And when it comes to porn, it has to be that true gift of being that true performer. I've interviewed so many porn stars that I just know, like I can see it and I can feel it. There's a new girl that's out. She's right. I think she's out. Cherie, I have to look her up, but there's a new performer out that I think she's got it in her too. But I know that when I see that porn performer, I'm like, she's got it.
I mean, let me ask you, just out of curiosity, you mentioned Ava Devine. Before getting into sex work, I mean, were you influenced by anyone, or did you look up to anyone? I mean, do you have any role models in sex work or pornography?
Well, for dominatrix Miss Tara Indiana, I look up to her very much for Dom. My good friend Brittany Andrews, to me, she's the smartest sex worker, one of the smartest. This woman is just a genius. You need to have her on your show. She's a genius. So she's somebody I look up to, and I'm very lucky.
She's been doing it for a while now.
Oh yeah. She's probably probably a couple of years longer than I have. To know this woman, she's a pure genius. Genius. Some of the smartest women I know are sex workers.
No, I totally believe that. Look, just to tell you a story here from Portugal. I mean, back in October we had our local municipal elections, and maybe you're thinking, oh, where are you going with this? Because that has nothing to do with sex work, but actually it has something to do with it. Because in one of the municipalities there was a woman who was a candidate for president, or at least for assembly, and she had an OnlyFans account. And people started making fun of that and assuming that just because she was an adult content creator, she wouldn't be intelligent enough or competent enough or something like that. And I was just like, really? I mean, you're assuming that. I mean, you don't know enough.
Yeah, people get very ignorant, but it's a lot of work to maintain those pages. It's not very. Yeah. It's a lot. You know how it is if you have a podcast. It's to get back and forth and booking the guests, and because you book the guests just like I book the guests, and it's detailed, and then you have to do
I do it all alone. So
yeah, I find it's better when you do book the guests by yourself, because I dealt with a producer for a short period of time, and I was like, oh no, I need to do this myself, because it's intense, you know. Yeah.
But I mean, Ava Devine, Brittany Andrews, anyone else you had as
Tara Indiana, and then there was another woman, and she's out of the business, and this woman is top of the chain. Mercedes Ashley. That woman, she's Puerto Rican, like I'm half Puerto Rican, half Cuban, but I used to do bachelor parties with her. This woman was ahead of her time monetizing content. And just, she now does, she works with computers. She was just genius. Like, she was so smart, where before OnlyFans come out, she already had a website going on and was monetizing content. And she was just, oh my gosh. So those are the women that I have to give it to, that are all very, very smart. Brittany Andrews is just a genius with business and everything she gets her hands into, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I mean, maybe we'll come back to that when I ask you about your podcast. But let me just run through you some of the arguments that people who are against pornography or sex work more generally use against sex workers. I mean, first of all, people who are against pornography assume that women who work in it must all have psychological issues, like, for example, past trauma, or have been the victims of sexual violence, or having grown in a fatherless home, or being addicted to substances like alcohol or drugs. I mean, where do you think those assumptions come from, and do you think they have any basis in reality?
I think it's pure ignorance, because I grew up with a father, and my father was very involved with my life. You know, my father passed away in 2019. He was always like involved in my life. My father knew what and part of the reason I never got into work with a porn production company was because of my father. And that's the one that really irks me. People are like, oh, you don't know your father or whatever. No, my dad was involved, and I had a very masculine father. So that one I don't get. That's just pure ignorance in itself. I just was in a circumstance that I was young, that I had a child at a young age, and I needed to provide. And I was in a state that did not really support things. And right now, with the way the economy is in the United States, there's a lot of people that are struggling, not making ends meet. And this is why in the US, the birth rate is declining. So people can't afford to have children. And, you know, in my generation, there was a lot of teen pregnancies. So what did a lot of women do during that time is they turned to exotic dancing in my era.
And I mean, when it comes to the bit about people assuming that porn stars or sex workers in general must have been the victims of sexual violence of some kind, it's interesting because there's a study from 2012 I mean, I read it indirectly because it was through a post on Psychology Today written by Gad Saad, he's an evolutionary psychologist, and in that study, they studied 177 porn stars and compared them to the same number of women from the general population. And when it comes to a past of sexual violence, actually, it's not statistically, the difference is not statistically significant, because the numbers they came to were 29% of women from the general population had been the victims of sexual violence, and the porn stars was around 36%. So
I wonder just where they're getting their data. I wonder where they're getting their data, because I've noticed that, I don't know. I just wonder where they get their data, because I can't really,
I mean, it's just, of course, I'm not sure to what extent those 177 porn stars were really representative or not. I mean, you know, it always depends a little bit on the kind of sample of people you have, right?
Yeah. I can only speak for myself, like, you know.
I mean, and you don't have any of that, or do you?
So you said my father was in my life. You know, and what else was it they said?
They talk about things like trauma, sexual violence, being addicted to alcohol or drugs.
No, I've done drugs, but I don't have an addictive personality. So I've been, anything I've ever done, I've been able to put down. So I've never had, and because I had a child at a young age, I didn't even drink or really drive, because my responsibility was with my child. So
yeah. No, I mean, in that sense, I'm like you. I can never get addicted to anything.
I've never been addicted. I'm fortunate that I don't have that addictive gene. You know, I do
addictive
know of
psychology.
People, I don't have that. Some people have it, but I personally didn't. You know what I'm saying? But I also I had to grow up, so my circumstance was different. So, you know, like I said, I can only speak for myself. Each individual sex worker is different, the way they've handled things. So that's
sure.
People.
Sure. I mean, for example, last year I interviewed Gerald Mosley. He is a formal general attorney from California, and he wrote a very interesting book, Sex Workers and Their Clients in Their Own Words, and he took the time to really interview sex workers and so on. And I mean, the point of his book was really to show people that not all sex workers approach their work or think about their work the same way, you know. So some of them might have more negative experiences, others might have more positive experiences. So it was really to show people that the kinds of generalizations that they make about sex workers don't really stick.
Right. Yeah, no, exactly. And a lot of sex work can benefit and help people.
Yeah. In what ways? Tell us about that.
You know, a lot of society seems to forget about people that are disabled, or people that are like mentally challenged. And that's a whole society that, you know, that just gets neglected, and they have, you know, needs too, sexual needs, or just they want to have, you know, conversation with people. You know what I mean? And sex work, it doesn't mean it's penetrative sex. You know what I'm saying? Like it could be, for instance, I do a lot of phone sex, and and it doesn't mean that they're jerking off the whole time. A lot of times it's just simple conversations, and it's the intimacy of talking to somebody. And people, you know, are needing that intimacy of, you know, just talking to people in society. You know, it's hard for men to date and relate to other people. And that's where sex work can be beneficial for people. You know, when men get divorced, and instead of dating right away, there comes that stage where they're kind of confused, and they're just not really ready to date that moment. And that's where sex work can be beneficial for men.
Okay, so let me ask you this then, because interestingly, just recently I did an interview, and it's already on the channel, with Olivia Bentley. You had her on your show as well.
Oh, yes.
And I mean, one of the comments I got on the video was someone saying, okay, I'm not going to go through all of his arguments here, but it was a guy accusing sex workers of only being able to make so much money because they are taking advantage of vulnerable men. I mean, men that have emotional needs, sexual needs, and so on.
Yeah,
I mean,
but this is the
what do you make of that?
You know what's taking advantage of women is when men go on dating apps and they're not really ready to commit, but they will use women for their own validation, and they will lie just so they could sleep with them and pretend, and instead of them going to therapy. You get what I'm saying? So I rather, to me, a man is more emotionally available when he knows, hey, I'm not ready to commit. So why don't I go see a sex worker? So that way, you know I'm not ready mentally, right? This is a man that's emotionally available. Let me see a sex worker. Let me just, I have needs, sexual needs, or I need the validation, see the sex worker, pay for it, rather than waste a woman's time.
Yeah.
Think about that. Okay. Because we've got men out here that will go on apps, waste a woman's time. And what about that? Nobody talks about that. But they got an issue when a woman gets paid. Doesn't make sense.
And sometimes guys even trick women on those kinds of apps. And I mean, there's, for example, there are, for example, cases of men taking money from women, tricking them into giving them money, and then just ghosting them.
So we deal with men that are narcissists. We deal with men that have avoidance. We deal with men with different things that they're trying, they go on these apps, and women are going apps thinking they're ready for a relationship, where these men have these issues. And meanwhile, these men go, oh, I don't hire sex worker. I don't hire, I don't pay for escorts. I don't pay. Those are the men that have issues. You know what I'm saying? And I've noticed through the years, the men that do pay are more, they got stuff to do during the week. They don't have time. They're too busy focused in on their job. They're too busy focused in on their kids. These men that are seeking validation because they want to feel like they got issues. You understand? Like, because they just need that high for themselves, and meanwhile, they're wasting women's time.
Yeah.
Think about it. So the woman thinks she's going to get into a relationship. Meanwhile, the guy's just, you know what I'm saying? And then meanwhile, we also have men that are going to other countries like Colombia because they're like, oh, this is US men that do it, by the way. US men that will go, oh, the American women are so terrible. Oh, they won't settle down. They won't think. So they go to other countries like Colombia, and then they get robbed. And they're wondering, oh, why am I getting robbed? Well, you didn't get therapy. You didn't get, you know what I'm saying? But meanwhile, if you just would have hired a sex worker, you would have saved money on your trip, getting robbed, and everything else.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, do you, to what extent do you know your fans? I mean, do you know their lives? I mean, what kind of fans do you have?
I have a lot of loyal people that have been coming to me for years. There's one person that I've been dealing with since 2012. So there's a lot of people very loyal to me. Very loyal.
Yeah, but I mean, do you get the sense that I mean, what is the type of fan that you tend to have? Do you have, for example, married men, couples, single men?
Believe it or not, I get a lot of single guys, majority single guys.
Okay.
Over married men. I have had married men through the years. I've noticed this trend. A lot of guys are very faithful, believe it or not. I've noticed this because when I've dealt with single guys, they'll disappear and then they'll come back and I'll be like, hey, where'd you go? And they'll tell me I had a girlfriend and I didn't want to cheat. And they feel like even though they were seeing me, they were, and these are guys online. This was crazy. We're doing video calls or we're doing phone sex and they'll be like, I felt like I was cheating. And I'm like, but we're not even seeing each other in person. So I do get a lot of, I have a very loyal, and I get a lot of gifts from fans. I currently have an online submissive that helps me out.
Yeah.
He runs like an IG for me that's dedicated to me. So I have a submissive that's like full-time online sub that takes care of stuff for me with my Facebook and everything. So yeah, predominantly everybody that I deal with is, and of course, because I've gotten older now, majority are younger. My guys have been younger, except for the one guy from 2012. He's older. Of course, that's that I've known since. And what year?
No, I also I also asked you about that because interestingly, there's been research on the kinds of men that tend to use OnlyFans. I mean, research by people like, for example, Stacy Litton and Mary Lipman. And interestingly, people tend to have this idea that this very common idea that it's men who are vulnerable, unemployed, incels, and so on that use OnlyFans. But no, actually, a very big proportion of men who use OnlyFans are in relationships and they have good jobs and so on. So, I mean, in a sense, it makes sense because, I mean, those are the men who have money to pay for OnlyFans.
I don't just use OnlyFans. I also use a site named Sex Panther. And I'll be honest, like, there's a couple guys that are like fans of mine that have came back that look better than like, because like it was one guy I dated, like that look better than guys that I've dated in person. There was like a couple guys that I'm like, whoa, they're hot. They look better than guys that I've dated. And I'm like, so I have some fans that look like really, really hot that I like get nervous. Yeah. Like one guy, I was like, whoa, you are like, yeah. So I have some hot ones.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
So let me ask you then. I mean, do you identify or do you have anything to do at all, or are you interested in feminism? Do you identify as a feminist at all, or not?
I do for because I do have daughters, you know, and I want them to. I want us to keep our rights. Of course.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
sure.
I don't want them taken away. In America, it's getting kind of scary over here.
No, I'm asking you that because sex work actually is an issue that many times divides feminists. There are feminists, sex positive feminists. In favor of sex work and sex negative feminists.
The swerves. Yeah.
And so, I mean, some of these assumptions and accusations people make of sex workers that we've talked about and I'm going to run through you some more in a bit. I mean, are the same things that feminists who are against sex work say, but then you also have sex workers who are feminists themselves. So. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, one of the things they say, one of the things that feminists that are against sex work say is that sex work is never a choice. That
false.
That women only do it under coercion or if they are financially destitute or something like that. I mean, what do you make of that?
Oh, that's false. That's false. But society, I will say this though. More people need to give former sex workers a chance for employment, though, because sometimes it's other people. It's those people that are. It's the swerves that don't give us opportunity sometimes that they will judge. You know, instead of it won't give us chances. There's people that will like discriminate. I'm very open who I am and what I've done, and I'm not ashamed. But I have encountered people that will judge. You know. And you know, it give us opportunity too. You don't like it, but don't discriminate.
You know, I get this idea that because of what I hear from women in general who are against sex work, but also sometimes from some of those feminists, I get the idea or the impression that many of these women only are against sex work. I mean, they are specifically against sex work for females because there are also, even though in smaller numbers also male sex workers, but they are against sex work for females because they look at sex workers being them porn stars or escorts or others, because they look at them as a competition. I mean, if they have a partner, if they're
no,
married,
it's competition, but also, yes, it's competition, I've noticed, but also because they feel like they can't do it. And there's a difference.
What do you mean by that?
You know, the best compliment I ever got from somebody that was not a sex worker, they go, I wish I could do it, but the only reason I don't do it is my mother would get up from a wheelchair and beat it would beat me silly. And I thought that was the best compliment, because the woman, she gave me props for doing it, but she said, I wouldn't do it. I'm scared to do it because my mother would come out of the way. And I appreciated her saying the truth. But honestly, like I told you, I personally would never feel comfortable doing porn, but I am not going to discriminate to a porn star and be like, ooh, I don't do it. I just know that I wouldn't be as good as my friend. So I'm not going to get my ass in the kitchen. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And, so I don't discriminate. I just know that about myself, but I'm not going to put the person down. So this is what a lot of women do. And you're right. They're worried about the sex worker because they're so, they feel like we're going to take their husband or their man or something. Yeah. And when you become a sex worker, you do become very open-minded sexually, because we don't want nobody's husband or boyfriend at the end of the day. We just want their wallet,
Yeah, that's funny. But I've had an interview on the show with I think it was with Francesca Luberti, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, we talked about how sometimes people's views of sex and relationships even have influenced their own politics. And for example, people who are more conservative, who tend to prefer monogamous relationships and perhaps don't like promiscuity, the idea of having sex with several people and so on. I mean, they tend to not like sex workers and tend to not like people who promote casual sex and so on, because they see that as a social threat, because they think, okay, so if I live in a society where promiscuity and casual sex and so on is allowed, then it's harder for me to get a husband or a partner who is loyal or faithful, so.
Oh, that could be ignorance, because that's ignorance.
It's ignorance.
It's ignorance because difference. There's, that's a whole different discussion with the polyamory and the swinger lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? Because with relationship, it's more about communication. Yeah.
And another thing that feminists who are against sex work say is that sex workers are always objectified by their fans or clients. I mean, do you feel objectified?
Oh, no. I would not allow a fan to objectify me.
But I mean, do you feel comfortable with the fact that perhaps men approach you because they like you physically? I mean, is that okay for you? Or
if I date somebody, I'm going to have to like them physically.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's vice versa. If I'm not going to like I have to like them physically, same thing. So, of course but when you talk to usually the way I personally have kept any of my fans, clients, is my personality. And they usually know me, and the way I've kept them through the years is by them knowing who I am. It's initially the beauty and how I look, but it's also how, when I open my mouth and how I talk, and that's the name of the game, so it's how good you connect and you communicate after, once you open your mouth.
Yeah, because people have this idea that men only approach sex workers or pay for sex with them or pay for OnlyFans or whatever because they only care about their looks or their body.
Yeah, but if I date, I'm gonna have to like again, if I personally date a guy, I don't want to like approach a guy that's not, you know what I'm saying? Like because the time I let like the time I went and wasn't so picky, it wasn't good. So it's that's just the nature of any type of business. You know, if I'm gonna go buy an outfit, I want the outfit to look good.
Yeah, sure.
You know,
I mean,
that's what everything.
yeah.
What are they? They're being ridiculous. Oh, let me go buy some ugly clothes to put it on. You know what the hell? Let me buy ugly clothes. Put the ugly clothes on now. Are they getting too much with this? You know, of course.
Yeah, and as you said, and I also heard that from other sex workers, I mean, clients and fans are not there only because of the looks. That's not the only thing they care about.
One, right. And with anything, it's going to be number one, the looks, but then to keep them is going to be the personality.
Yeah.
But also, you know, you got to think again, like I said, think about it like the clothes. What looks good on me, and then what's comfortable fit. Okay. But of course it's the look. You're going to go to, it's like a strip club. I want to go to the strip club with the ugly girls, you know, like with no teeth. Take me to where she has no teeth at all, you know, like, well, that some people might be into the no teeth brothel. I don't know. That might be a fetish.
No, you know, definitely some feminists must have some.
They got some. Now that feminists have got some issues there, though. Okay, because dating. Let me see who they're dating and what they're wearing. Yeah.
I was going to say that they must have some issues with, I don't know, past relationships or with men, because some of them also talk about the male gaze. I mean, women.
I hate to say, you know, I am a feminist, but sometimes with some feminists, and I had a cousin that used to say this.
Yeah.
Sometimes in the pussy there's cobwebs, and they just need a dick to go in there to get the cobwebs out, because
oh my God.
I hate to be so crude and rude, but it's like, get over it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and just enjoy life. Like, of course it's for the looks, but you know, in sex work, you do have to look good. You have to look good. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, though. And men do like all shapes, all sizes, and there's something for everyone. You know what I'm saying? There's something for everyone. You could be all men do like curves, men do like blondes, brunettes, all different ethnicities, all different women are beautiful at all different sizes. But for these women to be that critical, get the cobwebs out. Okay. And if you don't like a male in there, they have choice. You could just stick in there and get the cobwebs out. So enjoy yourself. Okay?
It's really funny. It's really funny because a few years ago, last decade, there was a feminist group. And again, I'm not criticizing all feminists, because there are different types of feminists.
Those are the extreme.
Yeah, but
that's a little bit too much. Oh.
Yeah, there was a feminist group here in Portugal, and one of them wrote a post saying that women shouldn't have sex with men with the lights on, because the men shouldn't look at their bodies. I was like, what the heck are you talking about? because otherwise they are being objectified.
They need the cobwebs out. They need the cobwebs. This sounds like my sister. My sister must be part of this group. That's something my sister would say. She gets like that, and I'm just like, yeah.
Do you get support from your family? Or?
My mother, my sister's a weird one like that. That's something my sister would say. She's got the cobwebs. Yeah. That's the case of the cobwebs. Just the case of the cobwebs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In society, we do need men, I say. We need men for sex and money and to have kids. Yeah. And sometimes we need to shut you guys up and put a tag on you and throw you in the closet for a bit. You know what I'm saying? But you might enjoy it. But you know what I mean? Men are very much needed in society, I feel like. I love men. I love men, you know, but but I like my rights as a female. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not gonna shit on men. I'm not gonna, you know, hate on men. And I like the lights on. I like maybe some fluorescent lights on when I have sex, but not shut the lights off 100%. I gotta find something, you know.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, do you think that sex work can be empowering?
It can be, and it was empowering for me to raise my children and survive. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
When I hear conservative men put down and, oh, women don't want to be married, or I would have loved to be married. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I would have loved to, you know, be home with my children every day. If a man would have supported me and paid my bills and let me stay home and be a mother, but that wasn't the case. So it was empowering for me to be able to work 3 or 4 days and make enough money to support my children. So that was empowering because I didn't have a man that could take care of me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And what empowering that I could provide and make sure my child was well educated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reason why I think feminism is so important, because
Yeah.
feminism is what gives you choices. I mean, you
Yeah.
can choose to be a sex worker and be an independent woman. You can choose to be
Yeah.
a housewife and, I mean, just
Yeah.
take care of the kids and cook food and so on. And that's,
Yeah.
and I
So
mean,
I
and
was
it's,
able to do, yeah, I was able to work like enough and then support my child and you know, because the father like abandoned me. That what was I
Mhm.
supposed to do? And you know, that's the thing. He didn't want to help, he didn't want to pay, he didn't want to, you know, do nothing. You know, that was his child. And she's successful. It really gets me. There's a lot of men out there that say, oh, the women don't want to do this, we don't want to do that. I wanted to, you know, to this
Mhm.
day I would love to be married to one person and sit home and cook or whatever. It gets me that a lot of men say that we don't want to do that, you know. And
Yeah.
I know I wanted to do it, but I find, you know, the last time I was married, the guy, he didn't want to pay everything, he still wanted me to work, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, they
Yeah,
are.
so let me ask you then, because I think this is one of the early episodes you did on your podcast. There was an episode where you talked about how you approach love in your life. So how do you approach relationships and love in your life?
Well, I keep it like 100 with what I do and who I am as a person. So it's hard because there's not many men that can handle me. They can't.
But handling in what sense?
I always tell guys the truth, but I find a lot of females don't tell them. So a lot of, because I'm 100%, like I tell people from the day I met, I was an exotic dancer. And I notice a lot of women, they play this game with men that they play Miss Innocent. And I just tell everybody the worst of the worst of the worst up front. So the guys get scared
Yeah.
of me, but they don't know like the true, you know, because I'm really not a drinker. I'm really not a crazy person. But when they meet me, they hear the craziest stuff. So it just, whoever chooses to stay, chooses to stay. So I just, you're going to hear the craziest thing, but I think a lot of men are afraid that they're going to end up on my podcast or something.
But I mean, do you think that the issue is that many men wouldn't like to date or be in a relationship with sex workers specifically, or is it
They,
some other?
you know what? I get all kinds of guys. I do get a lot of very good looking guys. I get a lot of young guys. And it's just so many different guys, but they, you know, it is who's strong enough to handle it, appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? And then who do I want to put up with too?
Okay,
You know what I mean? Yeah.
but I mean, do you think that many men have a particular issue with having a partner that is a sex worker, or?
Yeah. Or what? Yeah, they do. They do. Yeah. Because they want, a lot of men want this real innocent type. and not so many I'm starting to find out that like a lot of men are not so sexually advanced as me, of course. That's another thing, whole nother issue. Whole nother issue.
What you think that many men, are not good at pleasing women sexually, or?
Well, it's not that they're just not, when I say sexually advanced, I guess because I have the podcast, I know so much sexually things, and all day long I'm talking about sex all the time. You know what I'm saying? And different things. And after a while, so I'm just so accustomed to it. But I'm just upfront when I date, so they know the moment. So there's no surprises.
Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you this: if you have a boyfriend or a husband, would you mind at all if he consumed pornography?
Oh, I have my last partner, he did. But I think that was an issue because he didn't, and I didn't realize till now, that was an issue because at first when I was in the relationship, it didn't really bother me, but now I realize there needs to be structure on the consumption of how much you watch. He was daily in the morning, all the time. So he got accustomed to it. And I think that's a problem that now I am aware of, that a guy that watches too much, that tends to be a problem. Like you need to be sort of, what's the word? Like not so addictive to it.
It's interesting because that really goes along what Dr. Nicole Prozzi, she's a psychologist and a neuroscientist, and she works on pornography, sex work, and so on. I've had her on the show twice, and in our first conversation, or was it the second? Perhaps it was the first. She said that the issue with people who are in relationships consuming pornography is not the consumption of pornography per se. It's if there's a big discrepancy between the man and the woman in terms of how much pornography they consume.
Yeah, because he used to all the time. And when I was in the relationship, I just thought, oh, this is no issue. He's doing his thing. And then now, after I've left the relationship, because we never even slept in the bed together. And and now I realize it was easy for me. I chassed out of that relationship so easily. It was a very easy separation because of it. And because we ended up not having sex. And I realized because I was so okay with it, that was the way. I wasn't satisfied, but he was taking care of himself so much that was our issue. Like I never really said anything because I was like, oh, okay, whatever. He's just doing his thing. But now I realize that, he should have, I should have said something a long time. Now I know that's like a red flag for any guy that's too much. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's really about the discrepancy. I think if, for example, the man watches porn once or twice a week and the woman does the same, or even if they sometimes
once or twice is good. Yeah, once a week, twice a week is good. But he was like daily. Yeah. Like at least 4 to 5 times.
Yeah, or if, for example, there are couples who watch porn together, that's perfectly okay, I think.
Oh, I think couples together, that's fine. Yeah.
So tell us then about your Get Schooled podcast. What kind of goals do you have with it, and what kind of things do you do there?
Okay, so with Get School, I created it because FOSTA SESTA, which happened in 2019, we lost a lot of platforms that educated people about sex work. And I noticed with podcasting, you could have any type of, you could have all sorts of people on talking. And I felt like there was a need to have a platform where you would have sex workers or different type of people talking about sex. So I don't have just sex workers. I also have therapists. I have educators or different people that can contribute to sex work And I've done now over 100 and probably over 150 episodes. And each episode I try keeping very different. I've also had people to talk about like polyamory, swinging, because that's important to me to discuss, because there's so much misconception about different and every guest I try keeping different, and it's people talking from their own experience, their own word, educating people. I try my best getting guests that have been in, if they were sex workers, I try my hardest getting people that have been in at least 10 years. Sometimes I can't always get people in that have been over 10 years. And I think it's important because I noticed during the pandemic, a lot of people jumped into sex work and they got on OnlyFans, but they're not even running their OnlyFans page. They're having chatters on. So I feel like they're not really giving the best experience for sex work. So it's just really important for me to get people that have, done different forms of sex work. So that way to educate people and their own, and share experiences, whether, they've been a dominatrix, they've been an escort, they've been, I've had everything on a cam model, just different things.
Yeah, I know that you had I have listened to several episodes, and I know that you had a sort of a series of episodes which was something like sex workers are humans too, something like that, right? And I mean, what do you think are the best ways of humanizing sex workers to fight against the typical social stigma and discrimination that they tend to get?
I did that series and I brought in some well-known porn stars, and I wanted them to just talk about like their like stuff that I wanted them to just talk normal and not about like and that was a very good series. Talk about stuff they enjoyed. I think Jill Blue, she talked about how she liked going to what was it, the raves. And Violet Myers talked about Japan and her love for anime. She loves anime. So and I like Hello Kitty. So I love talking to her about that. And it was a very good series. So I just think that, hearing for them and even enjoying their aesthetics and listening to their lives, it's good. We listen to them because it's, there's more to them than that filming,
Yeah.
It's
Sure.
just right now her name is Jasmine Chernine. She's I interviewed her. I did a good episode with her. She used to be an ER nurse. And I used to be really against sex workers that would just jump into sex work from another career. After I had that interview, I had an appreciation for people that like are first responders, because she worked in the ER as a nurse. And I realized like firefighters, ER nurses, stuff like her, they're watching people die.
Yeah.
And that interview was very important for me. And she's somebody to watch, but we don't, a lot of jobs, like they're getting PTSD, it going through a lot. So when she had her career change, and she's somebody to very much watch in her career changing, it made me really appreciate her as the individual. It was a very good episode because I was like, whoa, she did this career change, but she, what she encountered, it was such a human experience interviewing her, so that's a very good episode because I felt like it's a very human experience of that interview with her. So she's somebody, that's a very good episode to listen to with Jasmine Cherie. Yeah.
Okay, the one who loves Japan and anime is Jules
Well,
Blue?
that's no, Jules Blue is the one that did she is the raver. Violet Myers,
okay.
like Al, but the other person is that I think she's up and coming right now. She's nominated for a lot of AVN, is Jasmine Chernine. And I can connect you with her PR person. She's somebody very good because she was an ER nurse. And I did that interview, and it was very human experience interviewing her because I realized like what she witnessed as an ER doctor, and then going into porn, it was just that interview to me, it kind of shook me up because I had a whole new appreciation for first responders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you have to help me get the one, whoever it was, who likes Japan and anime on the show.
Okay.
Because I'm also into anime, so probably
okay.
we'll have
Okay. Yeah. 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 Oh, you're into anime too? Oh, she loves it. Yeah. She loves it. Yeah. Violet Myers loves it. And I love talking to her about it, anime too, because I love Hello Kitty.
Okay.
They have a kawaii restaurant here in New York. It's so nice. I want to go to, and I have nobody to go to.
Yeah, that's nice. Okay, so look, just to finish, just to wrap this up with a bit of fun, because I mean, I'm about to try to get more sex workers on the show. So I
have somebody I'll introduce you to. Yes.
Okay, so I will make this a series, I guess, hopefully, if it goes well. And so I guess that I will introduce this question here, and I will make it the final question of every episode, I guess.
Okay.
It just came to my mind. So you mentioned earlier Brittany Andrews, Ava Devine. So the other lady, I'm sorry, I can't remember her name because I never heard of her. But what is your Mount Rushmore of porn stars, female porn stars?
The Mount Rushmore: Ava Devine, Brittany Andrews.
Yeah.
And right now, for the young, I feel like Jasmine Shireen, she needs to be up there. She's like the Obama. She's like the Obama right now, I want to say. Definitely Mercedes Ashley. Yeah. So that would be the Mount Rushmore.
Okay.
Definitely Mercedes Ashley. She's old school. But I know her personally and I've worked with her, and she's just genius. Oh my gosh. She's old school. She's kind of disappeared, but she is genius.
Do you want me to tell you mine? Or
yes, tell me yours.
Okay. Number one for me, the GOAT, Nina Hartley.
Nina Hartley.
Yeah. Number two, let me just think for a second. Number two, Lisa Hann.
Oh, okay.
Number two. Number three, I guess that I'm going to consider also the longevity and the huge number of sins she's done, Phoenix Marie.
Oh, okay, yeah. I've met her briefly, but I just don't know her. You know what it is? If I don't know them personally and I haven't interviewed them, I can't really talk. Yeah, but I know I've met her briefly. So yeah.
I think she also worked in healthcare, I guess. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I haven't if I don't interview them and I don't know them, I can't really speak. I know Lisa Ann. Yeah.
Okay. And then the final one, Mount Rushmore is for people, right? So the final one, I mean, it has to be my favorite. I mean, I don't think that she's better than others who I would put below her, but she's just my favorite. So Sheena Ryder.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. So there you go. and then honorable mentions, Janet Mason, Ryan Connor, Kendra Lust. So.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Oh, I forgot Jenna Jameson. Sweet. I forgot about her. She should have been up there. I forgot about her.
Yeah. So, Jenna Jameson is old school as well.
Yes, old school. Yeah. Bless her heart.
Yeah, great. So look, where can people find you on the internet?
They can go to marcelasobella.com, marcelasobella.com. That has all of my social media, or you could simply Google Marcela Alonso. Marcela is spelled with one L.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
And look for the blue check mark on my IG. So, in my Facebook, I have a blue check mark. So don't fall for the fakes, but all my sites are on marcelasobella.com.
Okay, great. So look, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a very fun conversation.
Okay, thank you so much, Richard.
Hi guys, thank you for watching this interview until the end. If you liked it, please share it, leave a like and hit the subscription button. This show is brought to you by Enlights, learning and development done differently. Check their website at enlights.com, and also please consider supporting the show on Patreon or PayPal. I would also like to give a huge thank you to my main patrons and PayPal supporters: Per Ergo Larsen, Jerry Mullerens, Frederick Sunda, Bernardo Seixas, Olaf Alex, Adam Kessel, Matthew Whittingburg, Arno Wolf, Tim Hollis, Eric Alenia, John Connors, Philip Forrest Connolly, Dan Demetrio, Robert Windiger, Rui Inácio, Zup, Marco Neves, Colin Holbrook, Phil Kavanagh, Michael Stormir, Samuel André, Francis Ford, Tiago Nunes, Fergal Cossen, Hal Herzog, Nuno Machado, Jonathan Labyrinth, João Linhares, Stantantia, Samuel Correia, Eric Hines, Mark Smith, João Eira, Tom Hummel, Sardus France, David Sloan Wilson, Yacila Dez Araújo, Romain Roach, Diego Londonho Correia, Yannick Punter, Dana Rusmani, Charlotte Bliss, Nicole Barbaro, Adam Hunt, Pavlo Stasevski, Nelek Bach, Guy Madison, Gary G. Allman, Sam Afzal, Adrian Yeager, Paul Tolentino, João Barbosa, Julian Price, Edward Hall, Edin Bronner, Douglas Fry, Franca Bortolotti, Gabriel Ponce Cortez, Ursula Litsky, Scott, Zachary Fish, Tim Duffy, Sonny Smith, John Wiseman, Daniel Friedman, William Buckner, Paul George Arnaud, Luke Loaki, Georgios Theophanos, Chris Williamson, Peter Wolozin, David Williams, Diogo Costa, Anton Erickson, Charles Murray, Alex Shaw, Maury Martinez, Coralie Chevalier, Bangalore Atheists, Larry D. Lee Jr., Old Erringbone, Sterry, Michael Bailey, Dan Sperber, Robert Grassi, Zigoren, Jeff McMahon, Jake Zool, Barnabas Radix, Mark Campbell, Thomas Dovner, Luke Nissen, Chris Story, Kimberly Johnson, Benjamin Galbert, Jessica Nowicki, Linda Brandon, Nicholas Carlson, Ismail Benzliman, George Coriatis, Valentin Steinman, Per Crowley, Kate Van Goller, Alexander Hubbard, Liam Dunaway, BR, Masood Ali Mohammadi, Perpendicular, Jonas Hertner, Ursula Goodenough, Gregory Hastings, David Pinsoff, Sean Nelson, Mike Lavigne, and Dios Necht. A special thanks to my producers: Isar Webb, Jim Frank, Lucas Stafiniak, Tom Vanagdam, Bernard Ugni, Curtis Dixon, Benedict Mueller, Thomas Trumbull, Catherine and Patrick Tobin, John Carlo Montenegro, Alni Ortiz, and Nick Golden, and to my executive producers Matthew Lavender, Sergio Quadriano, Bogdan Kanivets, and Rosie. Thank you for all.